do that. So great, a very good evening to all of you. And today we have with us Hrishikesh Rao. Hrishikesh is one great guy from Orchid. He runs his own company, which is a very interesting space. He is a person who, in event management, is going to be, what he says is that he is going to marry creativity with technology. Okay. And this is what Rishikesh is all about. Creativity with technology, something that is the need of the hour. And he's also going to be taking an entire module with the Team.i students, 20 sessions on VR, AR, creatives, digital, a lot of interesting things. Some of them are even beyond my head right now. Yeah. So some very interesting stuff. Over to you, Rishi. I leave this next 25, 30, 35 minutes to you. All yours, sir.
Hi, all. Very pleased to be here. Thank you, Arvind. And I'm totally pleased to have so many people online. Let me give you a brief introduction into myself before I start off. There are two things today which I'd take you through. One is a little insight about where my head is coming from, and therefore your heads can be aligned to it if you all are interested. The second thing is where the trends of this past and current year are moving towards worldwide, which is a very promising and positive space. I mean, even if it's work from home. I'll go into that in detail later. So firstly, about myself, I've been in advertising for a long time. I was a VP creative director with various agencies, notably among them Contract, J. Walter Thompson, which used to be once upon a time a big agency. I think it still is, though they've been bought over by other companies. I was also VP at Star TV for some time, handling around all their programs on Star International and Star Plus, and their change of image from I did the whole handover in terms of the change of image. I didn't do the handover. I did the change of image. Rishta Wahi Soch Nahi, which I don't know if in Bangalore if that's big.
Yeah, we all know about it.
Yeah. So that kind of is a kind of beginning, and I was always into creativity. So I kind of moved into from advertising. I moved into feature film because that was really interesting. That was pure fiction, and I worked on a very big feature film. I think it was Shah Rukh Khan's first film and my first film, called Memsaab, where I did the screenplay. I was chief assistant director. My first event into in a cinema in theoretically in good cinema, not into just pop cinema. Every scene is devised like an event because there's space you have to play with. There's a camera movement. There's a character movement. There's got to be colors. There got to be interesting things for the eye. That means the light has to play in a particular way. Things like that. There's sound. There's animation nowadays. So that was a jump start into events. That's like a huge thing which happens in terms of planning, a feature. Subsequently, I also worked on two very big documentaries which won the national award. I did the research on that. It was by a very famous director called Kamal Swaroop. So my research work led to a lot of building up of the image. They were on Dada Saib Phalke, who was the father of Indian cinema. I also designed 5 MMORPGs. I mean, for those of you who play games, MMORPGs are massively multiplayer online role-playing games, something like PUBG, something like Call of Duty. My games were more imaginative also. I mean, one of the games was like a fighting game. But the other 4 were all crazy kind of games. I mean, so we did the game art. I steered the game out of Beijing. I did workshops in the Middle East. The company was based in London. I got artists from Bangalore who did the character design and all that. And that was my first experience into the digital space, because you need to plan non-linearly when you're doing a narrative in terms of gaming. I mean, the story has to unfold in a non-linear way. So that is a very different thing from cinema.
So maybe, I'm sorry to butt in, but maybe for the sake of the people listening in, if we can deep dive a little bit into the non-linear bit, I don't know how much of understanding they would have of the same.
Yeah. See, there's one reality which is, I'm sure many of you who are gamers will understand. There's one reality which is a straight narrative, right? I mean, I came and I sit on this table and I talk to you and I kind of wave my hand. That's a linear narrative, right? I mean, if I make a story out of it, I would probably say, I was thinking I'm meeting a whole room full of people and I wave my hand. However, in a non-linear narrative, I can jump the actions, the time. So it's different timelines, right? A linear narrative follows one after another, after another, after another. Whereas in a non-linear narrative, I need to write it, I need to construct it in a way where multiple things can happen at different times, and then I bring them together. It's like how would I say? If it's like a song, for example, easiest way of.
Like the movie Memento.
Sorry.
Memento movie by
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
Memento movie is a narrative inside a film.
Yeah.
The game, for example, you have levels, right? I mean,
Yes, sir.
so if you played it by yourself, you'll jump a level, you'll get more powers, then something else happens. So that too is a kind of writing. Another very interesting, since you named a film, is a film called I forget the name, but it was called Black Mirror. You must have seen this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a Netflix movie, Bandersnatch, where we choose the story. Yes, sir.
But interestingly, if you look, say 4 years behind or 5 years, even 2010, there have been formats of this online continuously. I mean, there have been even 8-bit games which are like that, where you do I mean, for example, very, very, very known example to guys is that there used to be a game which was a dating game. I don't know if you'll have ever seen this. So you meet a girl in a bar, and then, but it was a static kind of game, right? I mean, there are 4 questions, and then you had to answer yes, no to each.
Yeah.
And depending on the answer, it would move in that direction. So that's the construct of a non-linear game. Or a non-linear narrative. Okay,
Yes,
Bandersnatch, for example, is a similar construct, except that the scenes are running in real time, and then there's a pause, and then the narrative branches out.
Yes, sir.
Look at it in a different way. Look at it as an event, in event marketing. Look at it as a 3D event. Okay, there will be a main event, and then there will be side shows, and there'll be basically places where you want the attention to focus on, right? As you walk into the event, you need to give information, or color, or razzmatazz, whatever the brief is. And then there's a main event. So the lights will change accordingly, for example, because that's the easiest way to switch your attention from one screen. Like if you see a Brian Adams show, he'll be performing on one stage, and suddenly the lights come on behind, and you turn behind, and then suddenly he's there. Those kind of stunts you might have seen in a live show, for example. So the attention is switched. So that's non-linear, right? You're following one narrative, and then it becomes another narrative.
Yeah.
Another way I can explain is, for example, I worked on this experience center where there are sensors on the wall. So if you are a guy who's manufacturing, say, cars in Germany, and you want to come to India and pick up steel, at the same time, there's another guy who's your friend from Germany who wants to come to India to pick up tea, in terms of huge loads of tea and huge loads of billions of dollars or euros worth of material. So you come and stay at the center, and the information comes to you about tea or about steel, depending on who you are, non-linearly. So from the time I know you're coming, even in the plane, in your private jet, you will see messages on your phone which are related to steel and the company. When you land up here, you will stay in a room which will give you information. The menu in the room will have something to do with a story about steel, for example, or a story about tea. And then when you get down the next morning to go for your conference, as you walk in, actually this is there in Bombay, right? It must be there in lots of places in the world. But the Bombay one is pretty good. So as you walk in, after the lobby where you are impressed by the marble and the patio and the woman who's sitting behind the desk and the smile, bright smile which people give you, you're taken through a corridor. The corridor has sensors. Now, depending on who you are, there's a video wall on, at every 10 feet. So as you walk, the sensor senses that you're coming and it flashes that kind of story to you about, so for example, if it is a tea, then the mountains of Assam where, some people are plucking the leaf. Next one will be how tea is cured, black tea, white tea, green tea. Next thing will be how we pack it at our plant, things like that. And then finally you come to this huge conference room with the surface table. I'm talking about non-linear narrative. I'm not just giving you the environment. I'm trying to say even the story has to be engaging and delivered in a particular way. So the event there is your surface table where the sales guy can pull up graphs and charts related to that industry. So there's actually there, and it's very interesting. I mean, there are motion graphics. Those of you who have seen motion graphics know what I'm talking about, right? So it's really fascinating. So this movement further, when about 4 years ago, I think the advent of VR really started happening, and AR really started happening till the pandemic hit. And once the pandemic hit, everything came to a standstill. Right? People were scared, people were uncertain, people didn't know what to do. However, technology and people in those technological companies were still working because the crores of money is already being put. It's not like the big machinery which is driving you, so you have to deliver. So today, those of you who are following the technologies are seeing a lot of things like holographic meetings. I can actually be there in an avatar in the room with you and talk, which Microsoft just unveiled, I think in March. That's a big leap, right? There's things like Magic Leap where you can use a glove to pick up things. I can come and pick up something from your table using that, perhaps, which means what? Which means that for industry, there are methods where I can start interacting with that product even if I'm working from home. Let me briefly take you through a small presentation which is on trends, which might give you an overview. Right now, what I'm talking about is the nitty gritty, which I'll probably explain in the lecture. But I will explain in the lecture. But here, this is not the scope. The scope here is to understand the broader picture. And feel that there's a great deal of hope, because many people feel, oh, slow down. What do? We are working from home. I've been lucky. I've got a lot of event companies are doing extremely well in this past year. I have worked on 3 or 4 projects which are entirely event based for markets where people can't go and you can't run a normal event because of the COVID restrictions. However, you could do virtual meets, you could do AR based stuff. So people are doing that. People are planning that. You'll probably see some rollouts by the end of this year. The second half of this year looks very positive. So let me take you through a small kind of screen share, short thing on what's to come. This, though I'm a creative person, this is more like a little bit of a marketing presentation, but it'll show you give you some kind of idea. For example, this whole thing of online buying, which is happening in the past year. Because it happened because of the coronavirus pandemic. There was an economic slowing down. World politics seems to be crazy. Countries are attacking each other. There's a great sense of diminished brand loyalty. There are people like Ronaldo who are panning certain products, right? Which is good. And the companies are retaliating. So there's a great deal of diminished brand loyalty among the new generation X and generation Z. Then climate is still varying. So people abroad are still sticking to home. Then there's racial tensions abroad. In the USA, for example, a tremendous bad thing happening about racial discrimination, right? So these kind of things have shifted people to do a lot of online buying activity from home. So there's a need right now for doing in-person activities and therefore look at the emergent technologies which will help you. For example, Sky is coming out with a whole deal of the whole range of satellites which are going to beam very cheap online into India, especially, and step up the whole online deliveries, in terms of technology. So today, what could not be done, you can probably reach a village in Himachal Pradesh very easily via satellite if you have a small satellite dish with a lower range and lower cost. There's also things like 5G, which they're slated to come in a big way down the year. So that means what? The deliveries are going to be better. So in-person activities, even if they are not there, if you're working from home, you can still have technology to do your design, which means, look at the consumer, for example. There's this whole middle class which is not really going in for malls, which they used to, and a lot of footfalls into malls has come down. There's a lot of shop from home which is happening. If you see, there's an amplification of that. If you follow, which is a great opportunity actually. So people are starting to work from home in this second half. People have had their second vaccination shots. Work from home means more people will be employed. If you see, the activity on LinkedIn has gone up. The activity on HR managers have gone up. So there are platforms which are more HR based. I mean, I get so many new platform emails every day. The email activity has gone up. In 2021, for example, these are the trends which are happening. There's an upward movement from mobile marketing, which used to be happening, to SEO marketing, which is old, to event marketing. Event marketing is almost 47% of the top 350 companies researched worldwide. Event marketing was being touted because it was giving demonstrations, and it was more believable, and there was presence. I'll come to that in the next slide. Email marketing has also stepped up. Digital marketing and advertising is really on the rise, because opportunity to see your message if you're traveling outside, which is on outdoors, has lessened considerably. I mean, people don't travel so much anymore. They don't have the time, or they're totally masked and so conscious of themselves. Social marketing has really been stepped up, as you know, if you go on any of these things. The digital marketing funnel for event management has gone up considerably in terms of these three things, which is basically brand awareness, your demand generation, and the loyalty which the brand possesses. Which means what? Which means if you are not only technology, but if you're creative, if you've got ideas, and if you can put it through, then companies will be looking at greater brand awareness generation. I myself have worked on, like I told you, luckily worked on 2 or 3 very big Indian companies which are doing some major work, soon going to be out at the end of the year, in terms of virtual touching people at certain areas, like Class B towns, Class C towns. Demand generation, therefore, can be going up. Brand loyalty can go up. So what are the differentiators? The differentiators which will make you different from as an event manager when you're talking to a digital marketer. Okay, one small step behind is today, many of these mainstream advertising agencies are no longer functioning, nor the startup digitals which started off in digital social media advertising are floundering, actually, in India, at least. I don't know about abroad. I'm sure it must be the same abroad. But event managing companies have taken off really well. I personally know 2 or 3 which are doing very well with crores of business, start new companies which have started up. And right now, I just got a call today that, look, we've got a platform of event management, but there'll be soon lots of people on the platform. So how will we look different? So these are the differentiators, because you need to know who are the players, and people need to know what are the kind of answers I'll get in this one place when you come onto a digital platform for your delivery of your event, right? To simply put it, for example, if you look at a webinar, that's an event, right? I mean, if you see there are banks who are doing it, you must be aware of that. I mean, have you seen banks are doing a lot of these events. There are hotels, for example, who are doing a lot of online customer engagement. For example, a bar will tell you how to mix drinks at home. So even if you don't come to Hyatt Regency, you'll probably see this online, maybe not Hyatt, but I mean, Hilltop and big hotels, right? So what are the answers is what you need to plan. You can demonstrate with these virtual platforms, whether it is a VR, AR, XR, even on a mobile or app-based demonstration. You can, I mean, for example, Asian Paints, let's take, for example, is now, we were designing something for them where you could actually look at a room and upload that photograph, and very simply using simple machine learning, whatever, so simple tools, you could change the colors of the walls, you know. Earlier, if you know, you had to actually go to an Asian Paint showroom and go on the top floor and give you a photograph, and then you would go into a room which would then, they would physically change the color of the walls. So demonstrability, learning how to do things. These are the differentiators which you should focus on in your planning, not just the technology, not just how AR and VR operate, but how can you step it up? You know, somebody told me that there are 4 big friends you have in your life. One is, I mean, of course, it's who, and then there's why, and there's how, and there's what, and then there's where, and when, of course. So if you notice, everything falls into this kind of pattern. Who are you talking to? Why are you saying what you're saying? What are you saying? How will you deliver whatever you're delivering in your event? And where is the event? Where is it in their heads? Where is it in this physical space? Where is it in the real world? So if you can answer these questions, how do you answer these questions? How do you formulate these questions is what you could learn about in this course. And also, I'm sure, in online in literature and things like that. You know, most people are only focusing on B2C and B2B, right? You know what B2B, B2C is, right? I'm sure. Yeah.
Sir.
So there's also B2B2C, for example, you know, in industries like consumer goods, financial services. So it's B2B and then to C. Startups, for example, are B2B2C. Healthcare, manufacturing resources, retail. You know, so look at the industries which is growing. You know, food and staple. I mean, these are the basic industries. This is a revenue in terms of, these are really going to pick up and do well in 2002, 21, 22, and these are the specifics. You know. Look at the number of opportunities. You know, each of them is an opportunity for an event. Earlier, you would only probably see ads for them. Today, you can do designed content for each of these spaces. You know, whether it is work from home or whether it's in an actual space and you're approaching it through an app or through an AR. You know, building products. I did a film and a whole activation, 360 activation idea for Purvankara, which is a Bangalore group, some time ago, for their properties called Sunworth, where I got down. The whole idea was there are 30 lakh plus 30 lakh, 35 lakh homes for youngsters who are working in IT companies. That was the brief. So IT company guys are into gyms and all that. So some years ago, 2016. I got down a team of parkour and I branded this whole place as it's an activity homes, you know, they're activity homes, they're where active people stay. So we got guys who did parkour. They spend a lot of money. We got guys from England who do parkour, which is that thing running across and jumping across building, as you know. And there was a group from Bangalore run by a guy called Chetan, I think, whom I picked up, who he had his own group. And we did a lot of activation on site, in malls. We did RFID based stuff, which would, you interact with those guys and your thing is posted online. So, I mean, that's a great deal of engagement. That's a great deal of amplification for the brand. So you need to think like that. So, so that's one. Hotels and resorts, home care, retail banking, pharma. I mean, pharma is a huge sector. I did 2 projects for Europe, for Johnson and Johnson, where it's internal training for doctors. It's an event which you would normally do, but here we are using gamification. where you engage the customer, so he spends more time in front of screen, and your brand loyalty can go up, your awareness can go up, stickiness can grow. So the incredible thing about technology is that you are actually present in another place with other people, is what it enables you to do, even if you are solitary and at home. So this is something which you would learn parts of this, and then I'll course correct based on a couple of lectures as to what your mind can absorb. For example, when I taught design students from French school some time ago, I taught them mathematics, and they couldn't take I about game theory, right? I mean, I was teaching gaming, so a little bit of basic maths is involved in gaming, right? I mean, statistics or game theory. So many of the students couldn't take it. So then I had to change it. And then I got into demonstration. And I told them how to build the games. And then by demonstration, they learn. So we'll course correct as per your aptitude and as per my interest. Which brings me to an important point. Any questions? Because I've been just talking. Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What is the difference between VR and AR?
What is the difference between VR and AR?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. VR, the environment is virtual, right? So you actually construct a whole space which is constructed. I mean, that's a virtual thing. Whereas in AR, the reality is augmented. Whatever is real you're seeing, but on top of that, there's another reality. The whole thing is constructed. For example, if you've seen Mandalorian, the whole background is a kind of virtual reality. Imagine if you wore a thing on your head and you looked around, then you would actually see that whole canyon and the little Yoda's home.
Yeah.
And so that would be VR. Suppose you took your phone and you looked at the desk in front of you and you looked at the table, and that baby Yoda appears there. So the environment is real. That is your environment. That is your table. That is your desk. And that baby Yoda is a virtual thing which comes inside that. It's like it's like that thing which I don't know if you played that game some years ago, where you could go to places and pick up Pokemon things. So
Yes, sir. Yeah.
yeah. So there's interactivity in that. There's interactivity. For example, if I do a virtual event, a design of a virtual event, and today technology allows me to not be strapped to my desktop, right? I get this new things like the Oculus Rift and the Vive and all that, which are wire free now. So I can actually have a sensor within the headset which will see where my eye is moving. So today, if you're say Tanishq and you manufacture stylized jewelry, watches, and all that, you can also have inside that jewelry shop which you construct virtually, the sensor will move and trace where your eye is looking at and say this is a higher moving product, or people are more interested in this, or this is where 80% of the consumers who are earning between 50,000 rupees or 1 lakh, or whatever the price ranges which you get through your online form, the manufacturer immediately gets that information, and therefore you can design it better, or you can say, let me create an inventory for that kind of stock. So that's an event you're designing, but technology is enabling you to trace the movements within that event of the consumer. And that same thing can be data mining for some other source, of revenue. For example, your company, you could sell the data like Zomato, and the cell phone companies normally do. I don't know if you know this, but most cell phone companies make a hell of a lot of money by selling your data to a lot of, that's why you get all those stupid SMSs on your phone, or you get all these calls from banks or whatever. The DND, which interestingly, I think phones have a thing now where you can set it on that, and 80% of the calls get knocked off unless they are in your contact list. I have a phone like that. Unfortunately, even people I don't know, their phones get knocked off. But that's part of how you live with technology. Yeah. So
Yes. Thank you.
any other questions? No, I mean, they're all the kind of shy flowers, or it's late in the night and you want to get back to your internet, or you want to have dinner and all that. Yeah. No problem.
The oh God, no, no, they will all open up slowly. We are not shy flowers. I think so. What? First of all, thank you so much, Rishi. I mean, this has been so nice. It has been so nice. Just a small peek into what you're going to be teaching in the entire module when it comes up, maybe August, September. Going to get very interesting. Going to be very nice. I think it's a first time for Team.i also. We did touch a little bit about AR and VR in our last batch, but now to we are going full on heads on into it, and looking forward to Rishi sharing his experiences with all of us and taking this forward. Yeah. So that is what we are going to be doing. Superb, Rishi. Thanks a lot about the time that you have spent today. Very nice of you, very kind of you. The students are really looking forward to, I think,
Yeah.
20
So one of
20.
the greatest things is when you have an interesting audience. I mean, interested audience. So what you have learned, you can give out, and that's a great feeling of satisfaction, right? So I'm looking. I really hope people ask me questions, and whatever I know, I can. I'm happy for Sanjay for having asked me that question. I hope I answered him to the whatever twist.
Yes, sir, you did.
But it helps me share, and that sharing enriches everyone. I'm sure that's what a person who teaches looks for. So I'm really looking forward to the interaction with, and I've had a very good experience earlier with you, Arvind. So I'm very happy to have known you.
Likewise. I look forward to this one.